Okay, just want to do a quick follow-up for the video I've just put out regarding the notion put forward by Wonderful of closing the pit lane when the safety car is deployed. I used the incorrect terminology as I described something in that, and I don't always get the right words. I sometimes stutter over my words or stumble over the words. That's just my failings, unfortunately. But I do what I can do. What I said was, when an incident occurs, what happens will be yellow flags initially, and then race control has at its disposal what it chooses to do. It can use the virtual safety car, and I said that nullifies the gaps between the races. I didn't mean nullify. What it does, it maintains them. Okay, so essentially, the virtual safety car means every car on that track has to slow its speed down and stick to a delta, and that should mean that the gaps between all of those competitors does not change as those cars keep circulating around the track. So the disadvantage of that clearly is that if you're trying to deal with an incident on the track, you've still got a car going by every few seconds. And the point of the safety car is that it bunches the field. That bunched pack can go by the incident, and then it gives a couple of minutes where nothing is coming by for people to be working on that track to clear the incident. It's a safer way of doing it. Now, the issue with what skews the outcomes of the safety car, which is what I was describing, is when race control choose to actually deploy the safety car, because that is calculated. Race control have at their disposal the cameras so they can see the incident, the nature of the incident. What they can do straight away is yellow flags by marshals waving the flags. They can use the light boards so that the lights are flashing yellow to indicate to drivers it's yellow flag conditions. You can inform the teams and the drivers so it comes on the driver's display and displays to the driver that they need to drive to a delta. You can immediately, in these situations, as soon as a situation arises whereby you are going to use a safety car, you can then hit virtual safety car immediately, so that all of these gaps between the drivers, whilst it slows everybody down, it means that these gaps do not change. And as I said in the previous video, you then time the deployment of the safety car to coincide to pick the leader up. Okay, so you deploy the safety car onto the track so that it's scheduled to pick up the leader. Now, coming around that track, if the leader chooses to go into the pits, well, that's the choice it makes. And if then what was second place passes the leader while it's in the pits, well, so be it, you've lost position. All right, but at least if race control times the deployment of the safety car so that it would schedule to pick up whoever would be that leader, were they not to pit, that makes the conditions fair for every competitor, because they can all make that choice. Closing the pit lane, as I previously described in the other video, can ruin racers' strategy. And let's say they were that their choice was to go and pit again on lap 40, lap 39, safety incident, safety car deployed, pit lane closed. The guy that they're up against may have already made his stop, okay, so may have dropped into second position, for example, but the other guy that's in the lead has still to make his stop. Now what's happened is they've all bunched up, so when the guy finally gets the chance to make his stop, when he goes into the pits, every other car that's on the track streams by him and loses all that ground. So that's the skewed outcome that you can't let that happen. No, you don't want people to gain advantages, but you don't by the same token, want people to lose out massively, and that's what it will cause by closing the pit lane. So it is a case of the solution, whilst it's not a perfect solution, and by all means, people can identify potential issues with this, but for me, the solution is that when you see an incident, race control need to deal with it initially by obviously saying, right, yellow flags, if we're going to go safety car, first virtual safety car, and we will time the deployment of the safety car so that it picks up the lead car, not throw it out onto track at what is seemingly a random point, which can skew the outcomes for different drivers depending on which car is picked up first by that safety car. All right, give them all the opportunity, starting with that lead car. Now, you know, one of the issues with putting out videos like that is that if you look at the comments section, there's 81 people like it without thinking it through. And if you look at the comments, you know, people aren't thinking it through. All right? You're not thinking it through. So that's all I'm saying. I hadn't looked at the comments before because I didn't want, I wanted just to give my pure perspective rather than having my thoughts skewed by what might be written here. But I then have just been back to revisit this video, and I just think that people aren't considering the implications of closing that pit lane and how it can impact drivers if their strategy is such that they are prevented from making what was scheduled to be a pit stop, and how that will have a negative impact on their races when somebody who has, say, pitted the lap before won't get that negative impact. Anyway, that will do for this one. For those of you that have already been over to this channel and watched the video, I'll put the link again, but watch the video again and maybe reconsider these comments that I'm suggesting about the implications, and well, let us know what you both think, and maybe there'll be something that I'm not considering. Maybe it's something that Wonderful needs to revisit, because he's got 10,500 subscribers that he can hit with that, with what the information he's putting out. So you know, there's a lot of people that if they go agreeing with that perspective, they kind of they need to see the implications in the manner I've just described. So make sure that that gets articulated over there on Wonderful's channel. Thanks once again for your time. Cheers.